Hi, have you ever wondered, is MBA really dead? Or have you been contemplating of doing an MBA at the same time? You really worry it's a really expensive degree. So welcome to my channel. I'm taking a tea break, or rather a chai break. I'm definitely a chai lover and I'm a full-time entrepreneur. I am an ex-BCG management consultant, an ISB MBA with a Harvard Exchange, and of course a public policy advisor. So of late I've been putting out absolutely free content around MBA, around consulting, and definitely around personal finance as well. So feel free to hit on the subscribe and the notification button so that every time I'm putting out free content, you get to learn, you get to share, get a leaf from my book. With that, let's definitely get started. So it's a very interesting question, is MBA becoming dead, or what is the relevance of an MBA in the contemporary space? Indra Nooyi, who is the former CEO of PepsiCo, she's also a BCG alum, recently said that the MBA curriculum is becoming obsolete. And I do recall, even though my ISB MBA was definitely very helpful, there were certain sections or certain part of the curriculum that was absolutely not needed. I do not know why the heck did I spend so much time learning credit and debit entries during my ISB MBA. And I mean, there are so many chartered accountants out there, right? I don't use that financial accounting. I do use managerial accounting, but I've never used financial accounting. With that, let's definitely get into this entire question. Is MBA really dead, or is it really worth the investment? So I'm going to be dividing this entire video into 3 parts, and let me actually take you on a very interesting journey. When I was at Harvard Business School, I realized that any fantastic education institute has 3 fundamental, really strong pillars, because of which it becomes a fantastic education institute. Number 1 is definitely around upskilling or learning, that you pay a lot of money or whatever amount of money and you actually just learn, pure play learn. You learn about the contemporary space, you learn about business, you learn about finance, you learn about operations, you learn the interdisciplinary learning at the same time. And that's pillar number 1. So let's get into pillar number 1, and then there is pillar number 2, and then there is pillar number 3. And then after analyzing these 3 pillars, I will give you my version of the answer. Is MBA really dead? So in pillar number 1, when you join an MBA degree, you expect that I would be learning the contemporary and the evergreen content. So the evergreen content is, for example, in finance, you learn valuations. Valuations could be DCF, direct cash flow method, or it could be the multiple method, which is P by E, etc. These kind of evergreen concept in finance have existed since a very long period of time. They have not changed even in today's era. Similarly in operations, similarly in statistics as well. Having said this, there are a lot of really new age digital disruptions and finance disruptions that are taking place in today's day and age, like cryptocurrencies, or like the new platform models that we are seeing in businesses in today's day and age, which also become really important for you to analyze from a business point of view, not as a consumer standpoint. And you do not just learn those concepts through formulas, like the way we learned the Gaussian theorem or the 3 laws of thermodynamics, etc. You learn it through case method. So let me actually help you understand what is case method. Harvard Business School was the first school that came up with the case method. So case method basically means that you will not just learn everything by theory, you will learn by being the protagonist of the case. So for example, if we pick up a very interesting case around P&G, Procter & Gamble, you realize that their market share is going down versus HUL, which is Hindustan Unilever in the Indian context. And for example, they have multiple portfolios, multiple diversified products also available. And there is a 10-page booklet, and you read through it. And you are the protagonist on the case, and you figure out how do you really manage to actually increase the market share, which is learning by doing, which is you are wearing thinking hats and you're really solving a problem. And this is where I think I come to answer the question, which is surrounded around the fact that most of the business schools actually in India do not teach in case format, which is absolute travesty, because you're not paying that bomb to just learn theory. You could learn that theory on YouTube as well. You could learn that theory, or gyan rather, on internet as well. You are supposed to be immersed into an ecosystem where you learn by doing, you brainstorm with your peers, you're your peers really challenge you, you could come up with an A answer, but your peer could come up with a B answer, and then you brainstorm. And in that brainstorming with your peers and with the professors, you really become the best version of yourself. So because I'm from ISB, and ISB was started by Rajat Gupta, who himself is a Harvard Business School alum, ISB complete MBA actually takes place in a case format. This is not a promotional video of ISB because I have gone through that journey myself. I know what is the journey or what is the learning curve that you go through at an ISB. Having said this, my few friends have been to IIM Calcutta, Ahmedabad and Bangalore, and from what I know, it's largely just the 30 to 40, and 30 to 40% is also an optimist figure, whereby they go through a case format. Rather, it's actually just a learning, not by doing and learning by just magofying, if that is the right word, which is just rote learning, right? So that is one data point, at least in the Indian context, where I struggle a lot to just absorb that, hey, why are you not learning? Why are you not doing cases at all? And talking about cases, and this is where I believe I had a little disappointing experience, not just with ISB, but even the top Ivy League schools. Very few of them really have updated cases. Why the heck would you learn about Facebook 2000 case? I mean, we're living in 2020. Facebook, in fact, is completely different ball game altogether, is on a downfall. You would want to learn cases which are based in the contemporary space. And of course, schools such as Harvard Business School and Stanford, they write their own cases. What do I mean by that? They are in touch with all the top employers, and they keep on churning out a lot of contemporary spaces, because you are going to join a market. I'm shooting this video in 2022. You're going to join a job market or employment market in 2022, not in goddamn 2000, right? So you need to learn the contemporary space or solve problems in the contemporary space. I do understand few cases such as Cola Wars, PepsiCo and Coca-Cola are evergreen, and you can apply your learnings by going back in history. But there is only limited merit of doing cases which are really historical. So we need to really largely start having more contemporary cases. And so that is my comment on the Indian MBA space, where ISB by far and large is the only actually business school which teaches, the formal business school which teaches an MBA through a case method, and the other top IIMs also. And it is little disappointing rather that they do not conduct their entire curriculum through case-based format. It needs to be the situation, because students are paying a lot and you're trying to generate the leaders in this country. With that, I'll take a chai sip, and then of course you could also take a chai sip. Why? Because we are on a tea break. Wait a sec. I really hope the slurp sound didn't come out loud, or even if it did, it's okay. We are all Indians and that sound is bound to come. Which brings me towards the next point, which is around employment. So remember, I said that any fantastic education initiative or an institute is built around three pillars. One is learning, and we talked in depth around the style of learning, the curriculum, the contemporariness, which schools in India are having case method, which schools are not, and even in international arena. Mind you, I think beyond top 30 Financial Times schools, beyond, right? So the schools which are below the top 30, by and large, actually from what I know, and this is a median answer or an average answer, do not have that case method approach. And I would say, in fact, just the top 10 schools on the Financial Times ranking have contemporary cases which are not 20 years or 10 years old. Which brings me towards the second point, which is employment and employability. Let me give you a data based out of India. There are 5,000 MBA in business schools in India, 5,000. And only 5% of those schools are able to make their students employable. Just grasp that data point. It is so hard hitting. And it is actually really unfortunate that on the name of MBA, they're attracting gullible students and charging them a bomb, and thereby again leaving them unemployable. MBA is actually a second degree for any working professional. And if he or she is taking that MBA, then mind you, the first degree would have probably generated certain learning outcomes or certain job employment, but this guy or girl is really looking forward to now get a better job employment, and 95% of the schools are not able to generate learning outcomes. And that is not a stat limited to India. Let me give you another story. I'm a huge fan of stories. So a recent beneficiary of Global Governance Initiative, we run our MBA Scholars Program. He's actually doing, and I'll not take his name, of course, to maintain privacy. He wrote to me, he's doing his MBA from here in Boston University. And he legitimately wrote, Actually, I'll hide his name and I'll give you a screenshot as I'm talking about it so that you know it's legitimate. He said that I have not learned, I'm learning from GGI in 3 months what I've not learned in 1 year. I'm learning from GGI in 3 months what I've not learned in a year. And frankly, more than being happy, I was really disturbed. This guy is paying a bomb to do an MBA from BU, Boston University. And that is the scenario there. And that's why on employment terms, I really worry about schools which are not part of top 50 Financial Times, because they are taking a lot of money from you and then they are not generating that employability. And largely when it comes to the Indian scenario, you have the IIMs, you have the ISBs of the world, and then outside, of course, you have London Business School, you have IE Spain, you have INSEAD, you have Tufts School of Business, Tufts Business School. My partner now, with whom I'm married right now, is an alum from there. They do generate very good learning, employability and learning outcomes in the space of management consulting, in the space of strategy, product management, private equity, venture capital, so on and so forth. So you get the entire sense. Now, why am I narrating this long tail to you? I know that you clicked on this video because you're trying to find an answer. Is MBA really worth it, or is MBA really dead? And slowly and steadily you start realizing that I'm kind of segregating the schools. There are few schools that actually solve for the first pillar, which is around learning and upskilling. There are few schools that actually solve for the second pillar, which is around employment partnership. So in India, unfortunately, there is this placement mindset which I am not actually completely aligned with, and that's why I wanted to do an exchange semester outside as well, which is that my school will provide me the job, which is absolutely, in crass language, is absolutely shitty way of thinking about things. Why? Because you would get your first job from the school, but what about second? What about third? What about fourth, right? Then you're again dependent upon school. And hence it is always advisable that you teach people how to get employed rather than just provide them the placement mindset. And that's why my disappointing factor with the Indian education largely has been that placement mindset. It's okay that you provide employers to bring employers or have employment partnership. But for example, here in Harvard Business School, there's no placement mindset. Harvard Business School will have collaborations and partners with the top employers, but there's no placement day or day zero, day one. I don't personally align with that thought of thinking, because you're solving for the short term for the student, you are not actually solving for the medium to the long term for the student, which brings me towards the third pillar, which is of course my favorite, which is, and I think you should also take a chai break before we move to the third pillar. Let me take a chai break. I love chai. Oh my god, I think there was no syrup sound, and that's because my tea is almost mediocre to cold temperature. The third point is around networking. What do I mean by network? Networking is not just what takes place on campus. Networking is also about the vast alumni that you create. By vast alumni, I mean that, for example, today as an ISB alum, I'm fair and largely able to connect with other ISB alums who graduated 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. And those people are sitting in position of relevance. They're working at really great organizations. In fact, my own entrepreneurial venture, I've been able to make it fairly successful. And one of the key reasons is because I was able to tap upon to the ISB network and alumni base. And in fact, Rajat Gupta, who's the former global CEO of McKinsey & Company, who started ISB, taught at my platform and my entrepreneurial venture, management consulting, because I'm from ISB. And of course, there were other reasons as well, because of we were able to struck a chord. But ISB as a network really did help me. And those are the stories, and that is the third point that you really need to think of. Am I joining? And I think I'm taking a full circle in this conversation here, that when you think of, is MBA really dead, or is MBA really worth it, you think of the three actually pillars for the schools that you're actually planning to apply. Does my school provide case-based contemporary learning? Does my school look at contemporary learning topics, or is just providing debit or credit entries? Does my school have employment partnerships, or is it just going to leave me high and dry? Or does my school have a good alumni network who are sitting in positions of relevance, so that my second and my third job eventually will come from that network? Taking a full circle now, my version of this answer. I have two parts to this answer. The first part to the answer is that top 30 Financial Times schools, and I know that the schools keep on the ranking keep on changing, but you get the gist. The top 30 Financial Times schools Ivy League, Harvard, Wharton, your Tuck. In Europe, you have INSEAD, London Business School. In India, you have Indian School of Business, ISB Hyderabad. I believe that their MBA degree will always be worth it, and I'll also tell you why. And I'll also tell you what are the other alternatives if you are not able to actually get your dreams achieved through these top 30 schools. The reason why I say why is because intelligent, relatively well-read people, well-informed people, and decently well-purposed people are driving the schools. I've met the dean of Tufts School of Business. I know the dean of, at least during my time, ISB as well. And I felt that they were always innovating. They were not leaving innovation outside of the table. And they were always making sure that our students were getting employed, and they were always looking for the network as well. And their network is actually sitting in important positions, in important organizations, so that your third, fourth, fifth job could come from there. So that's first part to the answer. The second part is there are good alternatives to these top 30 business schools, and I largely say so is because the life of these the students of these 30 business schools is actually of that privilege. I'm an output of Indian School of Business. I went to Harvard Business School. It costed me a bomb. It costed me 35 lakhs per annum, and it took me few years to actually generate that return on investment as well. I had to work in Dubai to earn in dollars, and Dubai has no taxes as well, right? So what are the other alternatives then? What could be a potential alternative? The potential alternative that at least I have generated through my education venture is a GGI MBA Scholars Program. And let me now help you understand, because I always benchmark Harvard Business School and I never ever benchmark any Tom, Dick and Harry EdTech Institute for Global Governance Initiative. Number one is we have employment partners who recognize GGI. We have more than 20 plus employment partners right now, and my entire Office of Career Services team is gunning to have more than 50 plus, minimum 50 plus employment partners. And these are not just any random employment partners. These are top management consulting, strategy, public policy, product management firms who are hiring, who recognize GGI and who hire from us. A few names include Clinton Health Initiative, Bill Clinton Health Initiative. There is Samagra Governance. There are leading management consulting firms as well. Point number two, all our cases are actually written by the speakers. So we are not an academic model, and that is what my theory of change is, that academicians cannot help you get a fantastic career. Only working professionals can get you actually a fantastic career. So all our cases are actually taught by the protagonist at GGI, Global Governance Initiative. So for example, in 7 weeks from the day I'm shooting this video, a BCG partner is going to come and teach what is management consulting, how to crack management consulting through a case method. Similarly, a masterclass took place on product management for our MBA scholars, and that product management masterclass was taught by a Harvard Business School alum. She's a senior product manager at PayPal. And similarly, a policy consulting masterclass was taught by a World Bank professional from Brazil. So on and so forth. Now we have more than 85 top industry professionals. By industry professional, I just don't mean managers. These are CEOs and CXOs who are coming and teaching a case. And I always say that teaching at GGI is like Steve Jobs teaching an Apple case. It's not a professor who has never ever heard about HUL, Apple or P&G, has never worked in those settings. These people worked in those settings. They are taking a case and they are teaching that case. So you learn by doing. Over and above, you learn actually how to get employed in terms of your CV, your case interview preparation, etc. And last but not the least, which is my favorite, GGI has more than 5,000 alumni, and they are globally spread, and of course largely in India. And most of these alumni, 85% of them, actually work in management consulting, public policy and product management. So even though your first job, we will help you with that first job, your second, third, fourth job was set. And that's my time with all of you. In this video, is MBA really worth it, or is MBA really largely is it dead? And there is no one right answer. The answer really depends upon you. At GGI, we are, for example, charging less than 10% of an MBA of a cost, because I do understand that the life or the student is fairly privileged. I come from lower middle class family, and if I've been able to do decently well, it's because I always had that knack for a high ambition and just curiosity and learning. And with that mindset, Naman and I, we have created Global Governance Initiative because I do understand that most of the people are not privileged. And once again, I'll see you soon. If you like my video, feel free to give it a thumbs up. If you are there still in this video, then let me know. If you're a chai lover or if you're a coffee lover, please take care, stay safe, bye.